It's the George Plaster Show. 30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee. Featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famer Watson Brown. And it's a shame it's taken this long to get an introduction for this Tennessee Sports Hall of Famer, Kelly Holcomb, along with young gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in. Let's fix our hair up a little bit and welcome you into the show on a beautiful Monday afternoon where it's in the low 60s. Can you believe that? That is really good. And the good news is it's supposed to stay that way throughout the rest of the week and beyond. So keep your fingers crossed that that's absolutely what does happen. Let's go to Murfreesboro, check in with one Kelly Holcomb. Kelly, how are you?
I'm great, George. How you doing?
I'm good. Good. Did you have a good weekend?
It was good. Yeah, it was good. Everything was well. Had to do some work around the house when it got warm outside. Had to cut some things down, but other than that, I'm good.
I picked up pine cones.
You did.
Do
I
you
burned a
know how
couple the
many
other day.
pine cones were in my backyard?
Well, if there's as many in my backyard as in yours, it's a bunch.
I would like to, this is one discussion I'd like to have with my mom. It's not going to happen, but I'd like to tell her, listen, might have been a nice idea, but you pick them up. Dadgum, they were everywhere.
And they burn well too. I had a fire yesterday and they burn well. So I put a couple in there and I was amazed at how fast they go up in flames. It's crazy. I didn't realize
Okay,
that.
that's an idea.
Yeah,
Okay,
it is
that's some riveting stuff right there. Billy, how are you?
You asked.
I know.
I'm good. It was weird yesterday waking up and having no football. That I was going through some withdrawals. I was because the last, especially no playoff games. So I know they got to do the 2-week break, but I don't. I mean, I guess they have to have it just with all the media around it. But it is weird not have. It's like, oh, now we got the Super Bowl. It's bad.
When Tulane Temple basketball is the best you can do.
Yeah.
You know you got problems. Actually,
Billy?
I take that back. The Purdue-Wisconsin game was pretty good.
That was good. That was really good.
Go ahead, Kelly.
Billy, did you not watch the games, the newfound games of the Pro Bowl?
I did a little bit. I liked watching the quarterbacks in that competition. Did y'all see Dan Orlovsky get out there? He did it. I don't know if they showed it live. I didn't watch much of it, but they showed that rerun of it on I guess it was First Take this morning or Sports Center.
Yeah.
He scored a 27. And there were guys scoring 17 and 18.
What do you mean? What was
they had to hit targets, they had to moving targets, and
I got you.
You know, they have a big one at the end. It's like a 50-60 yard throw, and he nailed it and that's for 10 points at the end.
Kelly, would you do well at that?
Kill it. Steal
Really?
it. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, but why was Dan Orlovsky out there? What does he got to do with it? Just because he's an ESPN personality?
Yeah,
now?
I mean, he was already there. I guess he wanted to try it out. But yeah, he scored a 27, higher than most.
We're trying to forget the time that he just stepped out of bounds on the 2 point, on the when he gave up 2 points there.
They don't let him though. They show it a bunch.
I love it.
They remind him of it. Okay, so we're through with chit chat.
Yep.
Do we have an update?
We do. And,
of some substance?
Yeah, a lot of substance.
Well, that's good.
Even though there's not a ton going on, especially with no football over the weekend, but it is Super Bowl week, and I want to get to the 49ers being displeased with their Super Bowl practice field. I don't think we've seen this one yet. Their practice facility at UNLV has been met with widespread disapproval from various members of the 49ers organization. The NFL put in a sod field on top of field turf and started laying it just last week, when NFL ordinarily requires Super Bowl practice fields to meet certain standards in December. So they they score these fields. They have a hardness score, which I didn't know. The NFL hardness score for fields averages 78. The 49ers said theirs is in the 50s. So I know there's a lot of 49er fans saying the Chiefs this is their first attempt at cheating, but I don't know that I've ever seen this, because they're already. I mean, they were there all last week, so that story is out there.
So is this in their old football stadium, the old Sam Boyd Stadium? May it rest in peace.
Where it is, yeah.
Oh.
So interesting.
It was Kansas City practicing.
I don't know. I was just about to ask that question. I'm not sure. I would imagine better conditions.
Okay.
Let's see here. You did mention the Pro Bowl games yesterday. Eli Manning beat Peyton Manning's team. I don't even know how they do those scores, but whatever.
Great.
All right, college basketball. Tennessee just throttled Kentucky, and we're going to get to this with Griff. They're 7-1 against top 10 Kentucky teams under Rick Barnes. They led wire to wire. They put up 103 points. That's the most points put up by an opponent at Rupp Arena since VMI against Billy Gillispie. So that
Wow.
I mean, that was a game you don't see very often at Rupp, and there's trouble in the Commonwealth again.
George, do you think those? Do you guys think those fans get upset at how he runs his program? Because he's even said it, like in interviews and on that 30 for 30 deal or something that they had on ESPN, where he's recommending those kids to, hey, use me and then y'all can go on. Like they're only playing like that team is really young, but they're never going to see the maturity level of that team because all of them are going to leave. Does that bother the fans, you think, at Kentucky?
I think there's some it does. I know it bothers me, but how can you argue with the level of success he's had with it? Now with the transfer portal and NIL, now everybody's having to kind of reload 1 year at a time. He's got a very interesting class that's in here right now. A lot of talent. They don't play a lick of defense.
No.
A lick.
That was
not a lick.
And Tennessee knew it, and they just went at them. And they were hot.
Kentucky is here tomorrow night to play Vandy at 7:30.
That'll be interesting.
Good luck with that one, fellas.
Hey, Vandy got their first win of the season in SEC play.
Yes.
They're now 1-7. So
they're not the worst team anymore.
I'll say this.
I think there's a little bit to be said about that, because say they were to have gone 0-18, because this might be their only SEC win. If we're being real, maybe LSU. I think maybe they host LSU, but there's not. I mean, this with as deep as the SEC is, this might be the only win they get. I could be wrong. I mean, they played fine, but it was Missouri. But yeah, I just don't see this turning into much of any. I mean, you got Kentucky rolling in here after 2 straight losses.
Kentucky then at South Carolina. So 2 really tough ones.
Yeah. Speaking of South Carolina, they have broken through. They're now in the top 25 for the first time since 2017.
They're about 2 weeks late in figuring this out.
Yeah, I don't know what took them so long, but they hop right in. They're number 15. So they bumped them up, 10 spots, not even, I don't know how far they were away, but yeah, they're in it. They're 15th. I think that's a sign of respect there to not, they're not even in the 20s. They're at number 15. Kansas, after their big win over Houston's up to number 4. At Tennessee up to 6. I don't know, what were they? Were they? It might have been 7th.
They were 5th, were they not?
Tennessee was 5th.
Were they? Oh, they were 5th.
Yeah.
Okay, so they bumped back, of course, after the loss. So yeah, that's some of the movement. Let's see here. We've also got a big one tonight. Kansas at Kansas State. George, you may have a play on that, but feels like a K-State spot to me.
It's a very one-sided rivalry in basketball. Kansas has dominated. There is real frustration on K-State's side. They've got them at home, and they've got them after easily the best performance Kansas has put on all year. they mopped the floor with Houston Saturday, which stunned me.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that one.
Elsewhere, NFL, Jay Harbaugh is headed to Seattle. So Jay Harbaugh is going to be their special teams coordinator. It was originally thought, and I think I reported this either Thursday or Friday, that he would follow his dad Jim to the Chargers, but some things changed, and he is now going to coach with the Seahawks.
So Jay is Jim's son. Did he play college football?
I don't. I mean,
I don't know,
not a
George.
school that I'm familiar with. I mean, I would
Okay.
Yeah, I don't
maybe
know.
somewhere small. I didn't even know his son was. I mean, I had heard of Jay Harbaugh. I didn't know he was even at Michigan with him. So Harbaugh headed to Seattle. Also, another son of a legendary coach, Steve Belichick, is going to become the defensive coordinator at the college level, Washington.
University of Washington.
Yeah,
Yep.
and it goes back to his time
Wow.
with Jed Fish. Jed Fish was the Patriots quarterbacks coach in 2020 when Steve Belichick was there with him. And there was a lot of mix-up this weekend. We thought Jay Harbaugh was going to the Chargers. We also thought that Cliff Kingsbury was going to be headed to the Raiders, but the Commanders actually snatched him up. So
which has opened up a lot of rumblings, a lot of rumors as to what does that mean, because he was at USC and he was coaching Caleb Williams. So are the Deadskins thinking of trying to move up one spot? They have the number 2 spot.
Mm-hmm.
The Bears have the number 1, and they can hold up the Commanders - Deadskins for a ransom.
That's a good.
I think Chicago's got to figure out what they're going to do, though. Have they talked about that, though, guys? Have they figured out what they're going to do with Justin Fields?
Who knows? And it may well be that they play coy for a while on it, but at some point it's going to get out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't really know until draft day, do you? I mean, so many things. Look at the Titans. They didn't. I mean, I don't think they expected to trade A.J. Brown. All of a sudden, draft day, he's gone. So, you never know. Also, some big baseball news. Shortstop Bobby Witt Jr. and the Kansas City Royals are in agreement on an 11-year, $288.7 million contract extension. So Bobby Witt, arguably the best shortstop in the league right now, gets paid handsomely.
He's a really good player. Man, that seems a little extreme.
That is a lot. And how often do these guys with these big deals, whether it's 9, 10, 11, how often do they stay there that long, you think? I know they're fairly new with these big years, so I guess we got to wait and see with a lot of these.
It's hard to tell. Witt's been there, I think, 3 years. He is the son of Bobby Witt, a pitcher who threw a perfect game at the end of the 1984 regular season.
Really?
Yeah.
Man.
George, where does all that, guys, where does all the money come from in baseball? I mean, is it TV revenue as well? I mean, with so many games?
Well,
TV,
it's a problem. That's
TV is certainly
much.
some of it. Gate receipts are a big piece of it. Remember, they have 81 home games, and most of the teams in baseball, although Kansas City might be below this, are averaging somewhere in the 28,000 range per night.
Okay.
Well, and
that's amazing, man.
Yeah, what the Dodgers did, I still don't. And we talked about the deferred payment. I don't think that should be a thing. I mean, it's kind of a loophole they found, and you got to wonder. The Dodgers have the money, of course, but you got to wonder if more teams might catch on to that. But Bobby Witt got paid, and George, that's all I got.
Okay. Well, I see Mark Griffin in the background.
A happy Mark Griffin.
I would think he is. His Tennessee Vols kicked butt.
And a proven wrong
Saturday
Mark
night.
Griffin, actually.
Well, I was with him.
Oh, really?
I thought Kentucky would win close, just simply because they were at home. But Tennessee, you talk about being on their A game. We'll talk about it with Mark Griffin when we come back, because it's a big game that suddenly brings a lot of expectations with it. Please stick with us.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, you need to call Bart Durham. And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
I'm Watson Brown.
I'm Kelly Holcomb.
I'm Billy Derrick.
We're the George Plaster Show. We've been Nashville's best sports talk for the last 30 years. And you know what? We still are.
Catch us live weekdays from 2 to 4 p.m. Central Time in Nashville on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Also, the podcast version is available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom-cut acrylic, name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen-printed T-shirts, laser-engraved Yeti cups, and knives. Recognize your hard-working team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs. It is not every day that a team goes into Rupp Arena and kicks butt. That's exactly what Tennessee did Saturday. They steamrolled Kentucky in Lexington. And with that in mind, Mark Griffin, former Vol, joins us to talk about it. Mark, it sure looked to me like a point of emphasis was, let's spread it around. This cannot be Dalton Connect and the rest of you.
Well, it was evidenced by the final score. You're correct, George, with 5 UT players in double figures. I believe that's the first time that you've had 5 starters in double figures this season. And you just showed a picture of Josiah Jordan James. And he was the one that I mentioned on your show Friday that was a concern, going into the Kentucky game, scoring only 21 points in the previous 7 SEC games, and he's smiling there, thank goodness, because he came through with 26 huge points, as well as Sakai Ziegler scoring 26 points. But really glad to see Triple J have a great game. He's fifth-year senior on the road at Rupp, tough place to play. And I just think he's the X factor for the rest of the season for the Vols, and really proud to see how he and the rest of the team played.
It looked like Barnes had really challenged him, and he was out of his mind. His shooting at Rupp was really good. What's realistic to expect from him?
I would settle for even half of what he's done, what he did against Kentucky. If he could average 12, around double figures, 12 points, 10 to 12 points a game, a good 5 to 6 rebounds. He's averaging almost 30 minutes a game. I think that's going to stay the same. He gives the team great defensive intensity. He's probably the second best defender other than Meshack, but very steady. He can guard various positions from even 1 to 4. I've seen him guard a 5 in the past. That's not his biggest strength, but he's very versatile. So, you can move him around based on what Barnes wants to put in as far as his personnel. So you've got a lot of options with Triple J. Just got to keep him confident. He's got to, think next play when things don't go well, and just keep his confidence knowing that this Tennessee team's relying on him.
Mark, I've heard the story that Dalton Connect went to Barnes at some point between the end of the South Carolina loss and before they got to Lexington, and said, hey, you and I need to rethink this because it's becoming too me and the rest of them are just sort of off in the corner. I really like that about him.
Yeah, it just shows that he's a team first guy and a very humble person. You don't hear him quoted as far as him bragging about himself and talking about all of his accolades and how he's going to tear people apart. He just lets the game speak for itself. Definitely a team player, much more than we all expected, maybe even from the coaching staff. Gotten a lot of attention. I think he's handled that attention very well, national attention. Is it fun to see him score 30-plus points a game? Oh, it's fantastic. But it's more fun to see Tennessee win with balanced scoring. And if they need a go-to guy, which they have this season with Dalton Connect, then you know that you've got someone who can take it to the basket or hit a big three when called upon.
Now, you know what this does. This kind of a performance fuels this is a Final Four contender kind of team. And because there aren't 10 teams in America that could go into Rupp and do what Tennessee did Saturday night. Is that a burden they want, or would they just as soon have been a little more under the radar?
Burden who wanted? I'm sorry?
Burden Tennessee wants of hearing this is a Final Four team, and you know as well as I do, if it's considerably short of that, they're going to hear it.
Yeah, I don't think it's a burden. If anything, I feel the mindset of a student athlete is you want the pressure on you. You want to be the one that's being targeted versus targeting your opponent. You want the mark on you, people coming at you. I don't believe in the teams wanting to have that underdog approach. And then, you hear the coach speak of, hey, we're just not very good. Well, I know Barnes is tempering what he's saying as far as how good they are. Let performance speak for itself, and then always look for improvement. But I think Tennessee's where they want to be. And yes, from the fan standpoint, getting to a Final Four would be incredible. UT's never been to a Final Four. I'm just hopeful they get to Elite Eight. First of all, I hope they win the SEC championship and, take it like coach speak, one game at a time till you get to the championship. But this is probably the best team that I can recall that has an opportunity to make it further in the tournament. But for right now, George, I just want to enjoy the next 6 weeks, enjoy the LSU game and all the other SEC and national games that are being played. and just, let the chips fall where they may, but just enjoy this process. But as a Tennessee fan, it is a lot of fun. I'm getting a lot of people stopping me at Starbucks and local places, and they're talking, Tennessee basketball. You're hearing it the same when we're together. A lot of excitement. I will say this about Kentucky. I'm not writing off Kentucky. Even though they've lost 3 of their last 4 games, this isn't the end of the season. You see the picture here. With Dillingham playing as well as he did, and
he's a stud.
He's such a stud, and I love Antonio Reeves is my favorite player on Kentucky's team. They're going to have their say, and they're not going to lay down the rest of the season. If anything, I think they come together towards the end of the season. The big matchup, George, that everyone's going to be talking about is going to be that final SEC weekend when Kentucky comes into Knoxville. That ticket is going to be a high-priced ticket, and I'm hoping it's either Tennessee or Kentucky playing for the SEC title, depending on how some of these other SEC teams fare, like Auburn, is a hot team right now, and, of course, Alabama.
Okay, it's not often. In fact, I don't think you've dealt with Kelly Holcomb, but I want to give him an opportunity. Kelly, I'm guessing this is the first time you've dealt with Mark.
No, we did this a couple months ago, George. Come on now. Where's your memory?
I guess I've got to take pills, I guess. Sorry.
That's okay. It's like me calling Billy Derrick last Friday. Sometimes you just slip up with our age, George.
Hey, I got a bunch of stuff you can call him. Just talk to me after the show there.
Yeah, listen, you pipe down.
Hey, I presented this to George, and obviously with the transfer portal that's going on, people got to get used to different kids. I understand that, but Kentucky's been doing that for a while. You look at Tennessee's roster; they've had Triple J on there, they've had the Vescovy, they've had the Ziegler kid. Obviously Dalton Knecht is the same, but as a fan, if you're a Kentucky fan, and even John Calipari's talked about this on ESPN when they've done one of those features on him about, I recommend those guys to go on. They get one and done and they're gone. Is it frustrating to a fan?
From the Kentucky fans that I know, and there are a lot of them, Kelly, especially growing up in West Tennessee, it's very frustrating. It's interesting when you look at something as silly as merchandise and you want to buy a jersey of Dillingham. Well, guess what? If you might as well wait and buy his pro jersey because he's only going to be at Kentucky for one season. And with Tennessee fans, at least on the merchandise selling, if you want to, besides Knecht, because he's only here for one season, but Ziegler, Vescovy, James, you get to wear that several years, and let's see what happens after their college days. But I think as a fan, it's tough to really get to know the student athlete. And on the flip side, though, Kelly, I think it's tough for the guys that are one and done to really get to appreciate the fan base, because the fans are there to support these guys, and not that they get to visit with them, day in and day out, but there are relationships that can be built over a long time. And you may have had this in your college days as well. I know that I have, that I still stay in touch with. And I think if you're just in a school like Lexington for one season, it's really hard to build post-college relationships that mean a lot in either business or social down the road, and not just, hey, I'm off to the NBA and let's go off to bigger and better things, but let's get back to the base. And some of the best times of your life, was in college.
Well, that's what I was going to say, because Coach Barnes reminds me so much of my college coach, Coach Donnelly. Like Coach Donnelly used to tell me, he's like, son, players come in all shapes and sizes, and you got to go find them. And he's absolutely right. But you look at the kids that Rick Barnes gets, and they're like, they've stayed there for a while. They're good character kids. They're team involved. But when they go to Kentucky, they know that, hey, I'm going there, but it's a stepping stone for me to go somewhere else. And I'm sure those guys at UT think the same way, but it's a different kid. It just seems like, and it looks like, I think he's got a 7-1 record against John Calipari, so it's working, correct?
Yeah, actually, it's 11-9 versus Calipari and 10-5 when Kentucky was ranked. But you're right. I think that, is there head-to-head battles that Tennessee goes recruiting against Kentucky? There's some. Is Kentucky's formula going to change and not go for one and dones? I don't think it's going to change. I think it's evolving now where, Kelly, you're starting to see more transfers, as you mentioned, with Trey Mitchell coming from West Virginia, Antonio Reeves that transferred from Illinois State, which I think benefits the freshmen more because you're around seasoned veterans that can teach them, how to behave when you're off the court, or even push them on the court and say, hey, I've been there. You're new. Yes, you're ranked. Big deal. Because when you get to college, and Kelly, you know this, no one cares about your ranking. It's what you do on the court or on the playing field that matters. It's how you interact with your teammates. If you're a team first person, and if you're not, and you're singled out as just on your own agenda, there's ways in practice to have certain drills that you get back at these guys, let them know that, look, you're going to respect the coaching staff and you're going to respect your teammates.
Mark, how long has it been since the SEC has been this good from top to bottom?
Wow. I haven't. That's a great question. I think you'd have to get someone to do some research, but a lot of like Lenardi and these people that know a lot more than I do are predicting either 8 or 9 teams go into the tournament. I think the highest, the biggest, the largest amount was 8, but I'm not for sure. But this could be a season that will be 8 as well. But I think you've got stronger teams at the top that could move into the second weekend and maybe into that Elite 8 status. When you look at Alabama, the way they're playing, you look at Auburn, and don't let me discount, the way South Carolina has played and Tennessee. So you've got some teams, and then who's to say that another team, Kelly, gets hot at the end of the season, goes on a tear, and may not have that star player, but has some, great team players that are just tired of being average. And as you know, as being a former student athlete, that's student athlete's biggest fear is being average. No one wants to be average. And these guys don't want to be average and go out with, a record of, 16-14. They want to, leave especially if you're a senior or your last year. That's where people are going to remember you. And you want to go out on a high end.
I've heard George talk about this ad nauseum about Vanderbilt not having Division I players, but what kind of job has Lamont Paris done at South Carolina? Because he looked like he went in and took all of the Southern Conference kids, and now they're playing in the SEC, and he's winning ball games. And we just talked about it, like he hadn't been ranked, which was a couple of weeks too late, and I think they put him 15th because they said, hey, man, we messed up. Yeah. So they're really good. And what kind of job has he done so far?
Fantastic. I was fortunate, Kelly, to meet him when he was at Chattanooga. He was recruiting one of the young men that I coached at EAB, a travel ball team. I was assistant coach and really impressed with him. Just outstanding young man, gave me a lot of time. Not surprised. I am surprised it was this quickly that he's done so well. I think everyone's surprised to put together a team and hope that you have chemistry, because he obviously brought in some talent, with guys being at various schools and hoping you can bring them in and people build upon each other's strengths and help increase their areas of improvement, to have that camaraderie and chemistry and the will to win, and then the fan base buy-in. He's obviously going to be SEC Coach of the Year, and Kelly, he's going to be up for National Coach of the Year. I feel, depending on how they finish off the season, but it's such for me, Kelly, looking at what South Carolina has done, I look at other programs that aren't your blue blood programs that are used to winning, that you see in the top 10 to 15 and the top 25 each week. and you sit there and say, hey, if South Carolina can do it, we can do it. And I think that gives hope to a lot of programs around the country that are trying to build their program like South Carolina has done for this season. Now, will they be able to extend this, next year and years down the road? It's only giving them momentum. I guarantee you there's high school kids that are answering the phone, Kelly, that weren't answering it before, that's coming from South Carolina staff.
What's going on at Arkansas, man? I watched them earlier this year. They played Lipscomb. My daughter plays basketball at Lipscomb, so Lipscomb had them beat. Probably should have beat them. They're so long, and they've been kind of the media darlings, the tournament darlings. Last couple of years, and Eric Musselman's done a really good job. But then you see in the game they had the other night where he and one of his players almost got into it on the court. So is that kind of some internal struggles going on? They're too talented to be where they're at right now.
It's definitely internal struggles. And I saw the replay that you mentioned, Kelly, and I can't think of the gentleman's name, but he was running.
The Mitchell kid.
Yeah, Mitchell was jogging down the court, not even running, full pace, which is inexcusable. You don't coach effort. And then when you see that, it drives a coach nuts. And obviously the student athlete wasn't very happy to be disciplined by Coach Musselman. And I think too, when things aren't going well, coaches are looking for anything to get an advantage because things haven't been working out as well. But there's definitely what I call cancer killers that are going on within that program of certain individuals that aren't buying in. He's already let one player go here in the last couple of weeks, and once again, a lot of transfers coming in. How much do you know about these transfers? You're recruiting some of these guys. You're trying to get to know, like I'm trying to get to know you today. You're just, you just tell a few things about yourself, about the program, and you hope you get buy-in. And hey, I'm going to try to give you an opportunity to play, come to the SEC, and give a few selling points. And that's about it. You don't really get to do a full background check, calling tons of coaches, calling where you hope to maybe call where they played if the former coach will let you know insight about each kid. Some don't. They don't answer. So, you try to learn as much as you can, but you can't get enough, Kelly. You just can't get enough background. And then you get in a new environment, and some of these kids may have been told they're going to start, which you should never tell someone that.
Right.
We don't know what was promised to some of these student athletes to go to Arkansas, and then they don't see the court, and then they're out blaming everybody else but themselves and not taking accountability. And then next thing you know, you're getting loss after loss. And I don't see Arkansas turning around. I really don't. And that I mentioned maybe a month ago, most disappointing team in the SEC before this drastic downfall, and I picked Arkansas. And I saw this with the players' body language, on the sideline. They're drooping. They're not, getting each other's face and really trying to get them jacked up to play hard, Kelly. And someone's, I don't know what goes on at practice. I can tell you in good old days, there needs to be a good fight. Someone needs to elbow someone in the chest to get something going to rile this team up. Not any punches or anything like that, but just playing really hard in an over-aggressive practice, let it all out, and then come together at the cafeteria that night and eat, let bygones be bygones. But you got to fight for each other. But it's also up to the leader of the team to push this team. You can't just blame Coach Musselman. You've got leaders. I'm sure you were a leader when you were a student athlete. You see guys aren't pulling their weight. If you don't get on to them, that's your fault.
Yeah, I don't know. And this will be my last thing because I know George is probably salivating at the mouth. He's wanting to ask you something else. But just with this, with the times that we're in, how hard is it to be a coach right now? Like, how tough is it with everything that's going on? We've seen some, with football where I'm a little bit got more knowledge about, but it's all of college ball. I mean, you got people moving in. It's free agency. just how hard is it to coach in today's times right now?
I can't even imagine, Kelly. I mean, back in the day, and you can determine when the day was, coaches didn't have to get out and raise money. Coaches didn't have to go out and make all these speeches. You may make a few speeches, if any, during the off season, but there's a lot of coaches that don't want to be bothered during the season and hate doing it. And then you've got, with all the NIL and involvement there, which is, from my feedback with coaches, they absolutely hate it. But it's like, if you're not doing it, then your opponent's doing it, so you've got to step in. So many extracurricular activities that you have to do, besides why most coaches got in the profession was to teach, was to inspire young men and women in their future. And then obviously they're very competitive and want, the thrill of victory. And that's just a gift that many, many coaches have that have reached, high school level, collegiate, we're talking collegiate level, but you want to give back. Now it's all take. It's like, hey, what can I get? What can I get? What can I get? And you can even see that on the sidelines and interviews of these coaches that are about themselves, or the coaches that are about their kids. And it's a shame. Is it going to get worse? I don't know if it can get worse. I just think you're going to see coaches that are just going to just say, hey, I'm done. And they're going to move on to administrative role, or they're going to retire early. They're going to get out of it, like you're seeing some in college football this season, people that are dropping out.
Mark, really appreciate you taking the time to come on. Congrats, man.
Sure.
Your alma
Thanks,
mater
Kelly.
looked great Saturday. We'll see you on Friday.
Where'd you go, George? I thought I was talking to you some. You disappeared.
Billy put me on double secret probation. Watch him do it again.
I thought it was because I had to eat crow for picking Kentucky the other day, which, I did bring my drink container here, which is orange, to wash down that crow, since I did select Kentucky to win by 2 points. But
yeah, I thought they'd win too. Shows what I know.
Game on
Thanks
both
for
of
doing
y'all.
this.
my pleasure. Thanks, guys.
See ya.
After the break, I'm going to try to answer Kelly's question about when was the last time the SEC was this good. And I'll give you a hint. It was a 10-team league. Stay with us.
Oh, wow.
Hit After Hit has become the baseball store in Tennessee. They have over 1,000 different models of gloves and over 1,500 wood bats. They also have several Iron Mike pitching machines, as well as a Hit Trax machine. If they don't have it, you probably don't need it. We're proud to call Hit After Hit the official shirt provider of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night.
Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances. And Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit the website coolspringsmd.com.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank and Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank and Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank and Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Convenience and value, two words that we expect when we do business. Our goal at JHA Company is to deliver just that, both to our school partners and to our customers. Whether you're purchasing photos, yearbooks, class jewelry, letter jackets, school spirit wear, or senior graduation products, we strive to make the experience easy, convenient, and cost-effective. Find out more at jhacompany.com or call 615-867-6345 for more information. JHA, one source, one company.
When Kelly asked the question a little while ago, when was the last time the SEC was this good? My answer is you got to go back to the mid 80s when it was a 10-member league. And Kelly, it was a league of great power forwards. I'm going to toss some names out at you.
Okay.
At Tennessee, it was Dale Ellis, who went on unstoppable at Tennessee, but when he went pro, took his game way out on the floor and showed how versatile he was. At Kentucky, it was Kenny Walker, Kenny Skywalker, and that was Sky was such a great nickname for him because if you watched him at courtside and you just sit there and look the way I did at Rupp Arena, and I was like, damn, this guy can get it done. At Vandy, it was Jeff Turner, who went on to an NBA career, 84 Olympic team for the United States. Alabama had Buck Johnson. Auburn had Charles Barkley and Chuck Person. Great 1-2 duo. Georgia had just graduated Dominique Wilkins, and it was on to Terry Fair and a Final Four team. Florida had a kid named Livingston Chapman, big old 6'8" hoss.
Yeah.
It was a league of great power forwards. LSU had Ricky Blanton. They had Dwayne Scales and Rudy Macklin. It was a league loaded with talent. And I don't know why it sort of, I think, kind of plateaued. And frankly, if Rick Pitino hadn't come to Kentucky, you really would have seen the league go in the dumper. Because it just didn't seem to have the stuff that I remember. My answer is mid 80s when it was a 10-team league.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing because you watch these teams now, and they're really you got some really outstanding coaches too, man. I mean, it's not shocking. I mean, that's just part of it. I mean, it's gone now. You know, it's known as a football league, but I mean, you look at what's going on in college basketball in the men's, like women. If you've had Pat Summitt, you've had UT, you've had South Carolina the last couple of years, LSU, what they did last year. So the women's has kind of always kind of been up there, but the men's have just kind of fallen off. But man, now they've got with the Parrish guy coming on and the Beard guy going to Ole Miss. I mean, there's some dudes that can coach in this league now.
What I'm about to show you is the standings of the top 8 teams in the league. And I'll tell you there's a 9th that in the last go-round Lenardi had in the tournament. I don't think he'll have them in when they do this thing this time, and that's Mississippi State. Billy, let's go ahead and show people this. So the seeds are on the left. Alabama right now is number one, although I don't think that's going to last because they go to Auburn. I think it's
Wednesday.
Yeah. And Auburn down there will be really tough to beat. South Carolina is the shock. I mean, who amongst us thought they'd be 19-3? Amazing. Tennessee, in my mind, off what I saw Saturday night, even though they're ranked fourth in the standings right now, I believe has the most upside at the moment as far as where they could go.
And you got to remember, they throttled Alabama at home by 20.
Yep.
So Tennessee's game at Tuscaloosa might be for the league because Kentucky got them at.
Yeah, sorry, George. You talk about this too. Like we've talked about Dalton Connect, but like the other night, he didn't have an outstanding game. I mean, he played, but he was on the bench quite a bit. But those guys played, man. So that's what they need to carry that team to a Final Four.
I think they're the one that's got the most upside. Ole Miss, to me, is a hot and cold deal that doesn't have the front line. They're having to do it very guard-oriented. I'm with Mark on Kentucky. Right now, it is easy to just use this phrase. They don't play a lick of defense. But if they ever do, in this last 6 weeks, and it may involve Calipari having to actually coach and figure some things out from a coaching standpoint, where maybe they need to go more zone. Maybe they need to trick people a little bit more. Man-to-man, Tennessee torched them. But Kentucky's got a bunch of talent. That kid, Rob Dillingham, is a stud.
Unbelievable. He's like Allen Iverson, man. Good gracious. He's not very big, but he hit everything the other night.
He hit one over Connect with a hand in his face. I was like, oh my
hand
gosh.
In his face.
It came from Cincinnati.
He kept those guys in the game.
Yeah, without him, that's maybe a 25, 30-point win for Tennessee.
Absolutely.
Florida, at the moment, at least in the last Lenardi release, which was, I think, Friday, he had Mississippi State in and Florida out. My gut feeling is he'll flip-flop that. A&M, I can't figure them out. They feel like A&M feels like, to me, a team that's going to end up in Dayton.
Yeah, the numbers lie with them. You know, you always talk about numbers don't lie. They are better than their record. And they've had some bad losses, but they can beat. I feel like they can beat anybody.
They can beat anybody, but they're losing home games, and that's a bad deal.
They've got Tennessee coming up here in the next couple weeks at home, I think. So,
and if you can figure Mississippi State out, God bless you, because that team, I see the level of talent that they put out there every night with a great big man in Tolu Smith. And then they go to Alabama and get just drained. I mean, lost by 32, 33. Yep. That's absurd.
Yeah, they're what, 3-6 in conference right now?
Yeah, and Lenardi had them in this last poll. I don't think he'll have them in when he releases again, but they're another one nobody's dying to play.
Well, that tells you how much depth there is in the league. You know, they're 3-6, Kelly, and they might end up making the tournament at the end of the day.
Well, you never know about basketball. I mean, it's crazy because you can be the best team in the world and then have an off night and an off night shooting, and the other team shoot the lights out. So it's just you just got to make it, and you just got to hope that you get a chance to get into the tournament.
I think you've got. Okay, let me try this real quick, Billy. I'll try it with you because you watch this pretty close. How far can Alabama go?
I think Alabama can go really far. With Grant Nelson, the way he is starting to play, you already have Mark Sears. They've got a lot of guys. They're starting to mold into who their fans think they can be. I think Alabama, Sweet 16.
South Carolina, I think the goal ought to be to get to the second weekend.
Yeah, just Just win a game.
Yeah. Auburn, who knows? There's certain nights I watch Auburn and I'm like, how do they ever get beat?
I think Auburn can get to the Final Four if everything goes right. But obviously, it's always a big if, like Kelly said. You could lose in the first round, you could lose, in the Final Four. It just it kind of depends on how well you're playing.
We've talked Tennessee. Ole Miss feels like today an 8 versus a 9.
But tell me this: that's not an 8-9 you want to play if you're a 1 seed. That next round, that's Chris
you're
Beard.
right.
That's a scary. Just kind of a scary, dangerous team.
I'm still of the belief that Kentucky can get things done. And
I'll say this, though. They don't have anything inside.
No.
I mean, that Trey Mitchell guy is huge. He's not physical at all. He wants to play outside. All their guys want to play outside.
Calipari has buried the kid.
And where was Big Z? Is he hurt? I mean...
No, but I'll guarantee you that, it's him saying he doesn't think he can compete at that level.
Yeah, Tennessee has men, Kentucky has boys. That's what it came down to.
Dillingham
might be one of their men.
That's an adult.
Well, they're also without DJ Wagner, who is out right now with an injury, but he should be back soon. So I think
Florida A&M 1 win max.
Yeah, A&M, I think, is more dangerous than Florida, but yeah, that's probably what we're looking at.
After the break, we'll have Stat of the Day. Then we will go to Vegas, site of this year's Super Bowl. 10 years ago, you wouldn't have given a nickel for those odds. Please stay with us.
You were in a crash.
Yeah.
Your kids were in the car with you.
We're very lucky to even be telling this story to you. Nikki treated us like family. And she was very caring and loving, and I'm just so grateful for that. She was somebody I could trust, and being a veteran, that's so important to me. My kids are going to have a better life now because I don't have to worry about those expenses that we were out. Your family has really created a legacy of trust, and I would recommend you to anyone.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com. Star Physical Therapy was established in 1997 with one great mission: to serve. If you're hurting, don't wait to receive physical therapy. You don't need a referral to see their physical therapist, and early morning and evening appointments are available. Make the call to 615-673-1420 and get rid of that pain. Star Physical Therapy, the official health provider of Football Friday.
Starting to save for your future doesn't have to be difficult. Let Wilson Bank and Trust help tone up your financial goals this year. Our certificates of deposits or CDs can help your money work harder with our competitive rates, earning you more than ever before. WBT checking options allow you to earn rewards you can really use, like a high interest rate or cash back on check card purchases when you meet some e-banking qualifications. Visit your closest Wilson Bank and Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC.
We're headed to Las Vegas in a moment, but first, Stat of the Day brought to you by John English Antique Sports and Cards out in Shelbyville. They're open during the week, Tuesday through Friday from noon to 5, Saturdays 10 a.m. to 5. Give them a call, 931-492-4304. All right, let's see what Matthew's got cooked up today. On Saturday, Steph Curry became the third player in NBA history with 60-plus points and 10-plus three-pointers in a single game, joining what other two players?
Are they recent, Billy?
Yes, fairly recent.
Fairly recent. Would Ray Allen be one, George?
Kobe would be one of them.
Kobe. There you go.
Kobe had a 73-point game, and he also had one in the 80s. I want to say against the Utah Jazz near the end of his career. Joining what other two players? Wow. I don't think
10, yeah, I don't. Would it be LeBron? I mean, I don't think he would make 10 3-pointers, though. Would you?
he could, but not likely. I got a feeling that I'm going to be hacked off when I see it.
Kobe, I'd say Kobe's one of them. Yes.
Yeah. I don't know what else to go with. I'm at a loss.
Me too. I don't, I'm just thinking about the 10 3-pointers in a single game. I mean, that's 30 points of it. You just think about some 3-point shooters. I don't know, man. I'd say Kobe's one, and then I wouldn't know the other one. You phoning a friend, George?
I'm sorry. No. I'm trying to get Ray Brewer from Los Vegas to jump in. I'm going to take just a wild stab at this. Kobe is one of them. Chris Paul is the other. That's a bad guess.
Chris Paul?
Damian Lillard and Karl Anthony Towns.
Gosh.
I would have never
Karl Anthony Towns?
I would have never guessed him to hit 10-plus threes in any game.
Damian Lillard, we could certainly see.
Yeah, Dame time. Karl Anthony Towns, I would have never have guessed that. And like we could have gone the whole show and I would have never have guessed that.
Yeah, that's up there for toughest stat of the days.
Okay, Billy, I'm going to throw you my phone because it sounds like we've got a little bit of a hiccup getting Ray Brewer on here.
Okay.
Think about this, Kelly. The first time I ever had Ray on the show, Vegas did not have an NHL team. Vegas did not have an NFL team. Vegas did not have a Super Bowl being granted to the city, and they certainly didn't have a baseball team coming. Think about it.
It's amazing.
I mean,
yeah, it's amazing, George. It used to be like the plague. I mean, they wanted no part of it. And now that everything is on TV about betting, about gambling, I mean, it's amazing how everything's gone to Las Vegas. I mean, it's unreal.
Well, it is interesting because it had a stigma to it that none of the sports would touch it. And then when the NHL busted through that, all of a sudden, it's like the dam broke. And now it's like it's not cool if you're not in Vegas.
What is I mean, is there? I mean, you're up on this expansion franchises in baseball. I mean, are they involved in that as well? I mean, I know Nashville is. I mean, is Las Vegas involved in that as well?
The A's are moving there.
Oh, they are. Okay,
so
they are.
I think that's
for sure.
Odd-lock cinch. If unless something goes terribly wrong, the Oakland A's will be in Vegas. Now, there's some interesting stuff on the A's right now as to where they might play a year or two, and I see Ray there with us, giving me the big fist there. Atta baby, let's bring him in here and say hello to Ray Brewer, Las Vegas Sun sports editor, joining us on the show. I was just talking about the fact the first time I ever had you on, there weren't any sports in Vegas other than UNLV basketball.
Well, in my heart, that still is the only team in town. But the world has, of course, evolved, and here we are. We're coming down the home stretch for a Super Bowl in Las Vegas, and town's just bumping with energy, man. And it's very cool to see, especially considering the history with the NFL and Las Vegas. They didn't exactly love us a few years ago, but that obviously has changed.
Ray, before we get to the real stuff, is this what's hurting UNLV basketball, or is it more all the coaching changes and all the stuff?
I would say UNLV basketball in Las Vegas, we only support winning teams. Now, doesn't help when a game night includes a Golden Knights game, because now you're asking people to choose. And right now, the Golden Knights are just the hottest ticket in town. But UNLV hasn't been to the tournament in 11 years. And until they start having a team that could threaten to get there, folks aren't just going to show up and support it. But the fans are there. You saw this year, UNLV football went 9-3. They played in the Mountain West Conference Championship game. There was a ton of people at Allegiant Stadium in Rebel Red. We love the Rebels. They just have to win. Also, a lot of their fan base has been in town forever, like my parents. They're in their 70s. They can't get up and down the stairs at the Thomas and Mack Center. They got to cheer from a distance.
Okay, that's a pretty interesting answer. So, Ray, let me try this one on you. The NHL was the first to say, "I do." What went into that? What finally was the deciding factor where somebody said, "I could care less about all these stigmas and all this, the mob's going to get us"? What led to that?
Well, I think it was a combination of things. One is Las Vegas has evolved over the decades from what was, like this great gambling destination, or whatever opinion you had about our city based on a movie you might have seen like Casino, to a block of real estate that is so awesome. There, you guys got a picture of it, but we're talking great dining, great entertainment, great nightlife. And the element that was missing was great sport. But we saw it on a Saturday night in May or a Saturday night in September when like a Manny Pacquiao or Floyd Mayweather would play. And the Golden Knights said, okay, well, Bill Foley and his team said, okay, why don't we get an NHL team here, a lower entry fee to buy into the league. There was already a stadium built by AEG and MGM. And so for the first time, Vegas wasn't on the hook to pay for a facility. Like, right, the NBA wanted to come, but there was nowhere to play. MLS soccer wanted to come, but the city was going to have to pay a certain amount of money. Well, Bill Foley's got billions. He paid the entry fee. He coordinated the deal with MGM. He brought everybody here. And then it was just a perfect timing where game one was a week after our mass shooting in 2017.
Yes, I remember.
Dude, the tribute they put on was just like, I mean, I'm born and raised here. I love this city. And I was like, let's go, baby. Here we go. Don't know much about hockey. I might not know much about it now, but I know that those 6 guys running around with Vegas on their chest really love us. And because of that, we care for them. And you even see it like, I'll give you an example, George. Like the church we go to is in a heavy Latino neighborhood, right? And there's kids running around with like Golden Knights sweaters and bumper stickers for the Golden Knights or license plates for the Golden Knights, in an area made up of immigrants from like Mexico and Central America. And you're like, I didn't know hockey was popular with the Hispanics, but this team is just like totally taken over the whole city. It's our team, and it's been awesome, brother.
So, Ray, I don't know if you can see, you're looking kind of to the side, and
yeah, because I'm still monitored here, George. Take it easy. There, is that better? There we go. Let's get it.
Tell you what, veer a little bit more to your right as far as looking at us.
Okay, veer to the right.
Pretty good.
There we go.
Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay. I've been to Vegas 5 or 6 times in the past. I had always been told in the great heavyweight title fight weekends that it was unbelievable. Does this Super Bowl thing smash that?
I mean, it smashes it in terms of the entire city being involved. On those big fight nights, you would say it was at MGM Grand Garden, right? So MGM would just be popping with activity, and the properties near MGM would be popping with activity. But maybe on the opposite end of the strip, it was just a Saturday night as usual.
Yeah.
This is like, you go into your local grocery store and there's t-shirts hanging everywhere, and everybody's talking about the game, and all your friends are calling and saying, hey, do you need somebody to cover you hold your notebook this week, because I could go hold your notebook with you, and folks just want to be part of the Super Bowl, and it's just cool to see, man. I was walking around down there on Saturday, and I was born and raised here, and I'll tell you, there was a day when before the freeways were even built, there was 4 ways to get around town. You could either go up Tropicana, Flamingo, Sahara, or Charleston to get from one part of town to the other part of town. I lived on the east side. The strip was square in the middle. And to know where we've come from and where we're at, and I think the cool part is that if you look at Vegas, we really took off with an ad campaign by the Tourism Authority with the "What happens here stays here" thing, right? And that brought a lot of people to town, and it gave them kind of a pass to just have a great time. But I always thought that people use that pass to kind of like treat our city badly, right? Like if you miss the garbage can, so what, right? And now I just really feel like people have such an appreciation for what Vegas has evolved into. And let's be honest, athletes want to come here because there's no state income tax. The weather is always good. Well, except in the heat of the summer, of course. And the city has just evolved and evolved and evolved. And I mean, I think you guys might be able to tell by just how I'm so emotional about it, but just to see, like, my dad worked at Caesar's Palace for almost 5 decades. And to just see what we've become, and, the Super Bowl is going to be here. And 5 years ago, Tony Romo couldn't even come to a fantasy football convention here, or whatever, 6-7 years ago, because of the things with gambling. And now, if it weren't for, gambling has just taken the popularity of the NFL to new heights. I mean, the ads are everywhere. Everybody's got action on the games. And we still are the leader in that.
Kelly, say hello to Ray Brewer from the Las Vegas Sun.
Ray, how you doing, man?
Kelly, I am great. How are you, homie?
I'm good, man. So the City of Lights, the City of Shows, what are they going to put on this Sunday for the Super Bowl, man? What's happening that we don't know about?
Oh, I've heard rumors online that Usher for the halftime show might have some special guests. The showrooms are promoting the parties that are going to have, like, and I got to be a little outclassed here. I don't know the names of these DJs, but I know they're really popular. And I know people pay a lot of money to go watch them perform. And I just think that the game is obviously the highlight of the week and the weekend, but all the stuff leading up to it, man, it's going to be a wild, wild scene, and it's going to be fun to see.
Well, me being a football guy, and we talked about it before you got on, but like George said, everything was taboo, and now y'all got an NFL team. So, how has the city? They've been there for a couple of years. How has the city embraced the Vegas Raiders?
So, I would say we are appreciative of the Raiders. First and foremost, those guys are everywhere. They have given money to so many causes in our community, from things at Nellis Air Force Base to girls flag football, to picking up the tab for kids who can't eat school lunches at our public school with public schools with 300,000 students. So Mark Davis is just a very charitable man, and his team does a great job, and everybody loves the Raiders. Now, do we love them like we do the Golden Knights? No. The Golden Knights are our team. The Raiders are kind of a borrowed team. And a lot of the fans come in from California on game day, whether that's Southern California or Northern California. And we understand that. Some people say that they're just another great showroom addition to Las Vegas, which isn't true. I mean, they've paved the way for the Pro Bowl to come, and now the Super Bowl and the NFL draft, and they've just made us a solid one of the many cities in the NFL rotation that we're proudly part of that fraternity. So there's great appreciation, great respect, and I just don't know if them winning or losing is like, if the Golden Knights win a Stanley Cup, we go get tattoos on our forearms with it, and we throw beer in the air. And I think on a Raider game day, you still got people with their loyalties to the Bears or the Giants or the Steelers or wherever they're from.
They're going to be kind of the same thing, because we were talking about it with George. The Oakland A's are more than likely going to come to Vegas. So is it still going to be like not the Golden Knights, but a transplant into the city?
The Oakland A's are very interesting. So Golden Knights, we're all in, right? They're our team, Vegas born. They're one of us. 702, baby, here we come. Raiders, listen, they paid for more than $500 million stadium. They did all the legwork. They brought the NFL here. Thank you so much. The A's, a lot of people here are still lukewarm on it. Yes, they like MLB. Yes, they will never say no to a pro sports team, but they're worried that the A's aren't going to spend any money to put a winning product on the field. And like I said earlier with UNLV, we love winners here, and we want to win, and we want to support people with Vegas on their uniforms. And we just don't know how it's going to happen. I mean, we don't know. First of all, a lot of people don't want to give tax money to the A's owner, right? And secondly, they're like, are they going to really crack open the wallet when they're here and invest in the team? Or are they going to continue on the same parallel path just with a partially state-funded stadium?
So, Ray, my last one, who you for this weekend, man?
I don't know. I really don't. Like, in my heart do I want to win? Or who do I think is going to win? So I'm a big fan of Harrison Butker, the kicker for the Chiefs. Won me a fantasy league.
Atta baby.
I like that, and I'm just and because of that, and I'm lukewarm on the 49ers. I love Purdy. I love his story. I love McCaffrey. I love his fiance even more. And I think it's going to be a great game, but it's just like, thank God the Ravens weren't in there, because, we're a Steelers family, and I'd hate to see them, win a Super Bowl. So that's the way I look at it. And, even though it's kind of a catch-22 as a Raiders fan, because you were a Bay Area neighbor with the 49ers for all these years, and the Chiefs are the Chiefs in your division. So we'll see what AP could do next year. 5-4 down the home stretch, beat Kansas City on Christmas in Kansas City, and the guys love to play for them. So if they could move the ball and get a quarterback and, have Mahomes take the year off, maybe they got a chance, right?
I'm sorry you're for the Steelers, man. I used to play for the Browns, and I cannot stand the Steelers. So sorry about that.
It's okay. A good friend of mine, or a kid that I covered in high school, Tony Fields, has had a nice little run with the Browns at linebacker. And listen, my dad's from Steubenville, Ohio, and I respect Ohio very much so. So no problems there. I'm not an anti-Brown guy, but I'm an anti-Raven all day.
Ray, you were good to do this. Thank you so much for coming on.
All right, you guys have a great week, and now that I got situated in the right spot, I feel great. So y'all have a blessed night. All right.
See you, Ray.
Thanks,
Thank
man.
you guys.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Ray Brewer, sports editor of the Las Vegas Sun, joining us. I'm going to go right to Erica Larson, because I know that she is in a little bit of a time crunch. Erica runs, and I want to make sure that I say all this right, the St. Jude Rock and Roll Running Series, which is here in Nashville. It's hard to believe, April the 25th through the 28th. Erica, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. It's good to see you again.
Yeah, same here. So I'll make this fairly quick, because I know you're on a tight schedule.
No worries. I got plenty of time for you. No need to rush.
This thing has exploded in size in Nashville. Where was the explosion point, and where are we today on it?
I've been involved with this event since 2018 in a different capacity at that time, but it felt like we were kind of hitting the bell curve right before COVID. Of course, COVID did change a lot of things for a lot of us. Kind of came down a little bit, and now we're back right where we were before COVID in terms of registrations and the overall feel of the event. So I'm super grateful. This is actually year 24, the 24th edition of this event, which is so crazy to think about. And we're just grateful to be back for another amazing year.
When you talk to people who run this kind of an event, are they not amazed at how quick you all got it to this level?
It's crazy to think about. I remember when it was just the country music marathon, and it just grew year over year. I think being in the city of Nashville helps a lot. I mean, look at the city and the growth the city's had. It's kind of, parallel to the growth that our event has had. And I think we owe it mostly to the city. For that, everyone wants to come to Nashville. It's a bucket list destination, and everyone traveling more after COVID as well certainly helps with that. So this amazing city kind of makes the event easy to sell, right? Because all the routes hit essentially every neighborhood that you'd want to see in the city while you're here. So it's just easy to talk about because Nashville's so amazing.
What's the percentage of people who are running in this who are not from anywhere near here?
So 65% of our demographic comes from out of state.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So my retired buddy Butch Spearden would love that.
He does. Yeah, we've talked about it. Yeah, it's great. Like I said, it's a bucket list city, right? The data shows itself that. So yeah, we're very grateful. And I lived in Nashville for 6 years, and it's just, I love showing people the city, especially all the great neighborhoods, and not to mention all the spectators that come out to support along the route year after year. It's just incredible to see the same old neighborhoods out being as supportive as they are. It's truly, really special.
Okay, do this for somebody fairly new here. Run through a little bit of where this whole course ends up, because it is pretty amazing the way you all have weaved this.
Sure. So for someone new here, I would say you don't have to be a marathon runner. You don't have to be a runner at all. We have a distance for everyone, including your dog and your kids. So I'll take you through the event weekend. We have a health and fitness expo at Music City Center returning there this year. That's Thursday and Friday, April 25th and 26th. Saturday's the big day with the 5K, 10K, half marathon, and marathon. The 5K and 10K exist within the half and full courses. But the half and full really encapsulate, of course, the majority of the city just because of the sheer distance. So you're going to start downtown on Broadway, shut down Honky Tonk Highway for you, enjoy all the music and things and the energy of downtown. Then you go down to Music Row through all the recording studios into South Nashville. Those are the really, really welcoming neighborhoods, the same people I see year over year, race morning when I'm out there in my truck. And then you come back up Music Row as well. Then you go through the Gulch, which is a popular area for locals and tourists alike, the famous Wings mural that everyone sees when they come. And then you go through Bicentennial Capitol Mall State Park, right in the heart of Nashville, get a really great view of the Capitol. The marathon continues up into what we call Metro Center, and then comes back down into more downtown area via the Cumberland River Greenway. You get to run through the Sound Stadium, which is really cool, around their baseball field, back through downtown. The marathon goes to East Nashville, which is my favorite neighborhood, personally, having lived there. And then everyone finishes right at Nissan Stadium with the Nashville downtown skyline right in front of them. So really, I mean, you get every kind of neighborhood that you'd want to see as a tourist and as a local. You get to run on your favorite streets and through your own neighborhood as well.
Erica, when I think of this event, my friend, the late Rick Region, was always there bright and early as a volunteer. And I know you all have kind of honored him in a way after he passed, but talk to me about volunteers and how important that is, because you don't just flip a switch and this all just works.
No, certainly not. I mean, when I say that the race would not happen without volunteers, like I truly mean that. We're only a staff of so many. We can't hand all of the 25,000 runners a cup of water, right? So we started recruiting about a month ago for volunteers. So it's about a 4 or 5 month effort to recruit volunteers. We need almost 2,000 throughout the weekend, and that's from when you first enter the Music City Center. Someone's greeting you, pointing you in the right direction. That's a volunteer. Getting your race bib, your T-shirt, all those things ran by volunteers. And then the start line, getting you into corrals, handing out the water, Gatorade, bananas, things of that nature, all along the course. There's 19 water stops along the marathon course. It's not easy to set all those up, and we certainly couldn't do it without volunteers. And then they're there to greet you at the finish line and give you your medal. So they are the lifeblood of events like this.
Almost 2,000. And my friend Kim Detweiler, who helped set this up, is smiling somewhere when I bring up Rick.
Yes.
Because the two of them worked on so many events together, as you know. So Kim's got a smile on her face.
Absolutely. I know she'll be happy to hear. Like people like Rick, we really couldn't do it without him.
If a person is hearing this and maybe they're not from here, or maybe they really haven't gotten involved in the past,
sure,
how can they volunteer? Is it too late? Give me some particulars there.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have volunteer registration open online. You can go to runrockandroll.com/Nashville to bring you to the event specific page. You can also just go to our general runrockandroll.com page and navigate to the Nashville tab to volunteer. We'll keep it all the way open through event weekend. We don't turn volunteers away. There's opportunity to get involved from Thursday morning all the way through Sunday afternoon. There's an opportunity every day. You can be at Music City Center, greeting the runners, saying hello, giving them their bib, getting them their T-shirts, or at the start line, handing out water along the course, or helping out at the kids and dog race on Sunday. There's really very unique opportunities. It doesn't need to entail a full day on Saturday if you're not able to commit or to any day. They're all broken out into shifts, about 3 to 4 hours at a time. And we welcome everyone of all ages and ability. We would love to have you.
2,000. That is remarkable.
It is. We couldn't do it without him, truly.
Oh, I believe it. Because it is. I mean, just hearing you talk about how spread out the whole thing is, and what a marvelous job that you all have done in taking some of the real landmarks of our city and showing them off. Now, those people may be about half dead as they go by them, but I mean, they get a flavor of what's going on in our city.
Yeah, and I think something unique specifically about this market as well is the band stages that we have on course. They're live bands, and we try to tap into the local talent that we have, because there's no shortage of that around here. So we have over 25 bands, probably closer to 30 live bands, at about every mile, a little bit more than that, cheering everyone on, playing throughout the entire day from the time the race starts until everyone finishes. So I think seeing all the landmarks, seeing all the neighborhoods, the local flair, in addition to the music, is, you can't match it.
Well, no other city could pull off what you're talking about. I mean, it's not like you got me up there singing. You've got some real quality.
I'm sure you would do great.
No, I would not do great. No, promise you I would not do great. But Erica, I wanted to get you in here because I knew you were on a little bit of a tight window. Thank you for taking the time to come on. Tell Kim we said hello.
We will. Thanks so much for having me. It was great to see you, as always.
Erica Larson joining us here on the show. What they do is incredible. And my buddy Rick Region used to get up, at the crack of dawn on Saturday and get involved in that. And it is, I've been at the Music City Center. We've done shows from there several times. Erica, thank you. Several times over the years, and to see all those people, Billy, coming to town for that is really pretty darn cool.
Yeah, I got a buddy going. I was actually talking to him a couple weeks ago. He said, "Yeah, I'm doing this marathon." I was like, "Oh, really?" I was like, "So," and then all of a sudden I was like, "Okay, this is the one he was talking about." So this one has gotten very popular And as Erica talked about, not just with locals, but people all across the country.
Oh, I think it's caught the imagination of people all over the country for a lot of the reasons that Erica pointed out.
And it's fun. You think of a marathon.
They do an incredible job.
I mean, you're going to be tired, but you're also, music, all kinds of different volunteers out there helping. It's a cool event.
I say we put Kelly in that race.
No.
Come on, Kelly.
Oh, I used to send people pictures of people running, and it was this old skinny guy who had no muscle tone whatsoever, kind of like George. And then I put him right next to a sprinter, like an Olympic sprinter, and the Olympic sprinter is jacked. He's got muscles showing, and that's what you do when you run or when you sprint. Our bodies are not conditioned for that, and no, absolutely not.
You can walk it. That would take forever, though.
Yeah, I mean, look,
that would take 2 days.
It's over on Sunday. Okay, they can't wait for Kelly. Oh, he made it by Monday. Okay, we'll go to the break. Kelly, I know you'll be thrilled to know we have Plaster Bet of the Day.
Did you do good this weekend? Did you do good? Are you still under 500, George? That's just not like you, my man.
Hold on, I'm trying to think. I think I was 1-2. We'll find out when we come back.
Okay.
Hit After Hit has become the baseball store in Tennessee. They have over 1,000 different models of gloves and over 1,500 wood bats. They also have several Iron Mike pitching machines as well as a Hit Tracks machine. If they don't have it, you probably don't need it. We're proud to call Hit After Hit the official shirt provider of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night.
Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances, and Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit the website coolspringsmd.com. Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
You were in a crash.
Yeah.
Your kids were in the car with you.
We're very lucky to even be telling this story to you. Nikki treated us like family, and she was very caring and loving, and I'm just so grateful for that. She was somebody I could trust, and being a veteran, that's so important to me. My kids are going to have a better life now because I don't have to worry about those expenses that we were out. Your family has really created a legacy of trust, and I would recommend you to anyone.
Final segment on a Monday, big one tonight in, what do they call it, the Little Apple, Manhattan, Kansas?
I have never been there.
Never been there?
Been to Kansas, never been to K-State.
The fog was on fire Saturday.
Oh, I hear that from an atmosphere standpoint that it was at the very top of what Fog Allen ever is.
Well, and they had a chip on their shoulder. First time they were a home underdog in a long time. So
probably since Truman.
Yeah, but now you got to go on the road a day later, really, 2 days later, and play K-State. We'll see what happens in that one. But first bet of the day brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. We'll recap the weekend. Give them a call, 615-242-9000, or log on to bartdurham.com. All right, let's see how it went this weekend, Kelly.
Ugh.
Kentucky and Duke.
George.
The Duke one was disappointing. I didn't think Duke would win, but I thought they'd play within the number. And the truth of it is, if we're being honest, I tried to talk myself out of the Kansas play.
What did I say?
To go with Houston.
I said, you'll be thanking me on Monday.
Yeah, well, I'm not thanking.
Thank you. Do not thank him, George.
I'm not. So here's where I'm going tonight. Don't put anything up there yet. You hear the word or the phrase trap game.
Yep.
I'll give you one that involved Tennessee and Vandy. The year that Tennessee went to Memphis and beat the Tigers and became number 1 ranked in the country, Vanderbilt was sitting there with a top 20 team, and Tennessee 2 nights later was going to have to play there. Really hard to do. And Vandy won in front of as loud a Memorial Gym as I have heard in the 2000s. Well, Kansas State's got a little bit of this same kind of trap game deal tonight. You can go ahead and show it. I'm taking Kansas State. Kansas State has traditionally gotten nothing done in this series. Kansas has treated them like a bastard stepchild. They sort of give them you're our little brother, sit down and shut up. And it frustrates the hell out of Kansas State, who has been one of the real disappointments this year. Under Jerome Tang a year ago, they were one of the real college basketball darlings, but they haven't lived up to it this year. Now they got Kansas, who's coming off by far the best performance they've had all year. And now 2 days later, they got to come out of the clouds and go to Manhattan, Kansas. Kelly, the upset is in the making. This is the Kansas State Wildcat Radio Network.
Are you booking it?
No, absolutely not. One of two things is going to happen. Either I am going to be dead on right or I'm going to be dead on wrong. It's one of the other.
The way you've been this year so far, George, I'm starting to wonder, is dead on wrong there, Hoss?
It's a little depressing. We've got to get our game in gear. This is a good start tonight. Kelly, thank you for reminding me of, my inabilities.
You obviously didn't have a very good training camp. You didn't get the guys in shape. I mean, what's the deal? You can't do that during the season, George. You got to be ready to go out of the blocks. Let's go, like you say, out of the blocks.
Kelly, I think we've been soft on fundamentals.
You have been soft on fundamentals. You got to go back to what got you there.
We're going to, starting tonight.
Tomorrow?
There used to be a standard, George. Come on.
There is no standard right now. We just need a damn win. Tomorrow, Tony Basilio will join us from Knoxville, Tennessee, which right now probably has got their head up there in the clouds, and rightfully so off the performance they had Saturday in Lexington. We'll talk about it with Tony. Thanks to all of you for being with us. For Kelly Holcomb and for Billy Derrick, this is Losing George. So long, everybody.
See ya.